Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of the Intern's Oddities from around the world. Today, we will be talking about birthdays and their origin stories, and we might even have a surprise guest. But first things first. So, back in ancient Egypt, the pharaohs were the only people with birthdays, because once they became pharaoh, it was believed to be an assignment from God Himself, thus being a very important day as you're being reborn as a god yourself when you become pharaoh. And this, from what I could tell, was the first mention of a birthday. So basically, when you became a pharaoh, it was seen as a sign from God. It was seen as, like God gave you that position, is what they believed. And they believed that once you became a pharaoh, you were reborn as a god. And according to the ancient Egyptians, they believed that your birthday was much more important, like the day that you became a god was much more important than the day that you were actually born. So I got some pictures, but I'm going to go through the information first, and then we'll go through the pictures here in a minute. So in Rome, 1st century CE, the Romans found out about the Egyptian birthdays, and so they got kind of jealous. They were like, "Hey, we want some birthdays too." So they started to celebrate birthdays as well. But even when the Romans started celebrating their birthdays, it was only men that could celebrate their birthdays and rich people. Now, on the age of 50, the government would, yes, the Roman government would even send out a birthday cake for people on their birthdays for the once you reach the age of 50, or if you're someone who's really important, like a politician or a leader of some sort, then you might even be so lucky as to get a birthday cake from the government themselves. And now it's not what you're thinking. It's not the typical birthday cake like you would expect today. Now I got some pictures of some birthday cakes. So here's a cupcake with a candle in it, and some sprinkles. You got little sprinkles here. Looks all pretty and stuff. Now there's actually a meaning behind the candles and the circle shape as well, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Just wanted to show you some of the images I got. This is some images of Artemis. We'll get to that in a moment. Now here, hold up. Yeah, here's just like a typical happy birthday photo. But over here, got another little happy birthday, with some candles. So let's stay on this one for now, okay? This one looks like a really nice little birthday cake. You got some candles. And I know a lot of people use candles to, like represent or signify how many years someone has been alive. But there's more to it than that. So, back to our story. This birthday cake that you might potentially get from the government was made with honey, cheese, olive oil, and wheat baked into a cake. Yep, you heard that right. It was a honey, cheese, olive oil, and wheat cake. Doesn't sound very appetizing to me. You can keep the cake. I don't want it. Now, women did not get the chance to celebrate their birthdays until the 12th century CE, with the exception of a few rich women here and there, but it was not like a common practice until the 12th century CE. Now, eventually, people would come to view birthdays with certain religious intonations as well. Sacrifices would be given to the god that shared your birthday, as well as the god Artemis was given little moon shaped cakes with candles on them. The moon represented Artemis, and the candles were meant to imitate the glow of the moon, and by blowing out the candle, your wish or prayer would be sent to the heavens and granted by Artemis. Now, I think I had a few pictures of Artemis as well. This column right here is actually supposedly from a temple of Artemis. So I thought that was something cool I would like to share with you all. Now, here are a few artist renditions of what they believe Artemis may have looked like. If I remember correctly, I believe Artemis was the god of the hunt, or goddess, however you prefer to word that. Now, here's another. Uh, this is a statue of Artemis that they found in Pompeii. So it looks like Artemis may have potentially had orange hair. Here is something I found that is just some generic fan art for Artemis by uh Stels. I guess I hope I said that right. I found this one on DeviantArt. These are all under the Creative Commons distribution license under the public domain. And I got some Greek pottery right here. And yeah, that's all I got for Artemis right now. So I think we'll stick with this one and continue our story for now. All right. So after all that, then the modern sweet cakes that we know today actually ended up coming from Germany in the 17th century, where they would make cakes for the children to celebrate their birthdays during a special event known as Kinderfest. Now let's go back to that cupcake picture from a moment ago. There was a nice looking cupcake somewhere in here. Let's see if we can find it. There it is. I like that cupcake. This is more typically what we're used to, but he did say cake, so let's see. I got this one too. Like I had up a minute ago with the bundt cake. This would be more like what we would imagine cake to be like today. And we can thank Germany that we're not eating honey, cheese, oil, and wheat cake anymore. Ugh. So it was an event known as Kinderfest, where they would celebrate multiple people's birthdays at once, and they would all get cake. Now, before the Gregorian calendar, everything was measured and timed by the moon. The Egyptians assigned gods to each month and day, including an Egyptian zodiac with 12 signs: the Nile, Amun-Ra, Mut, Geb, Osiris, Isis, Thoth, Horus, Anubis, Seth, Basset, Sekhmet, and each sign other than the Nile represents another Egyptian god or goddess as determined by the positioning of the stars. Today, we have modern star signs such as Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, which were created by the Babylonians in 1000 BC. Each of the different zodiacs is determined by the constellations and where the stars were located when you were born, and they believed that the stars would enable astrologers to chart horoscopes to predict your future based on their positioning. Now, the Greeks and Romans believed that everyone had a protective spirit or a guardian spirit that attended their birth and would watch over them for their entire life, and the spirit had a mystical relationship with the god on whose birthday the individual was born. There is a god who shares your birthday based on the zodiac, and your birthday spirit would relay information back to your birthday god and protect you for your whole life, which is why they would often make sacrifices to your birthday spirit for keeping you alive and well. Now, the birthday spirit idea actually inspired many modern ideas, such as fairy godmothers, guardians, and animal familiars, all of which were inspired by the birthday spirit idea. The ancient Romans believed that surrounding a birthday person with gifts and loved ones was another way to ward off evil spirits and offer protection. Now, Some early Christians believed birthdays to be evil because of their close relation to pagan gods. And they went so far as to, on December 25th, as most of you are probably well aware, someone has a birthday on December 25th. It was a celebration of the birth of the sun god Mithra, who was the god of a religion called Mithraism, which was very popular around the same time that Christianity was starting to become a religion. In 354 CE, Bishop Liberius of Rome ordered the people to celebrate the birth of Jesus on December 25th. So, everything comes from something else. There's origins for everything. Nothing is original in this world anymore, and everything, even the oldest things, are based on something previous. There is no origin. Everything that has an origin even came from somewhere else. Like, I think it would be very difficult to trace back the origins of anything to its true, authentic origin. Because no matter how far back we go, we were always, like humans, have always been inspired by other humans and their stories and their experiences. So I find it very interesting to think about how Jesus was born on December 25th, the same day as the sun god Mithra in another religion called Mithraism. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that's pretty interesting to think about. Now, that's all I got for birthdays, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was some interesting stuff I was able to find out there. So let's go ahead and look through some of our pictures real quick before we wrap this up. This, I don't know how well you can see it, but this is supposed to be a picture of the Colosseum in ancient Rome. Just a typical happy birthday message. This is a Roman gladiator holding a spear and a shield. Then, of course, that was Artemis. This was actually a picture of a Trojan horse that was a gift from the Greeks, which is why they say that you got to be careful when you receive gifts. I'm sure you all know about the story of the Trojan horse. A few more pictures of Artemis. And then we got some pottery to be a bit of a visual representation for the Greek culture. I try to get some pottery of theirs, and this is some more Greek pottery right here. So this person had some really long hair. I like that. I'm a fan of long hair. I'm trying to grow long hair myself. This was some Roman soldiers lined up getting ready for battle. And this was one of the ancient buildings in Rome. Well, maybe not so ancient, but this was one of the buildings to that I found that claimed to showcase the Roman architectural style. And I'm actually going to try to pronounce this. I am going to say it is the Magripolfus Costertive Facit. The Magripolfus Costertive Facit. You know, hey, you want to go see a movie? Why go to the movie theater when you can just go see a play at the Magripolfus Costertive Facit? I tried. I tried really hard to pronounce it. But yeah, so we got some architecture there, some birthdays, but I'm going to reiterate one last time. I am not interested in eating a honey, cheese, oil, and like, no, I don't, and wheat cake. No, thank you. I will pass on that very much. Thank you, though, but no, no, thank you. And I had fun, and there was a special reason I did this, but I will wait and see what happens with that. And this was a fun little side episode. And next week, oh yeah, I'm finally going over there. Next week, I will be going into Chinese culture with the story of Journey to the West and Sun Wukong. Yep, I finally brought it. I brought it into the podcast now, and I'm gonna do a whole episode on it. Yep, I'm very excited for this one, and it's not set in stone yet, but there have been some rumors and some talks that we might possibly, if we can all find the time to do work on it together, I have proposed we do have a few ideas for a potential philosophy sideshow as well. And I am really looking forward to that because I've been really into philosophy lately. Taoism, Stoicism, all that. And I want to start learning some more about Buddhism pretty soon as well when I can get some time. But this was about birthdays. Next week, we will be going over to Chinese culture, and I'm very excited for that. And I will see you next week. Thank you for hanging out.